Hey, I think we're alone now.
You do?
Yeah, I think we are. Anyway, nobody will ever watch us because, yeah, content's horrible. Our content's horrible. We know it.
That's a great sales job there here right at the beginning of the stream.
Yeah, please, if you've clicked on this by mistake, please click away. Click away. Anyway, so I just want to comment on something. I'm really bothered by, like, when I heard about that Kirk thing, right? Like the day of, whatever, my son told me about it, and I didn't know who the hell he was. And I remember feeling like it was a gut punch. You know, when I heard what happened, it was a gut punch. Later on, I heard about who this Kirk guy was, and you know, as a human being, I didn't. I think he was a real fucking asshole, you know, and one of those Christian nutcakes. But I remember the gut punch part of it, right? And then when I read that Rob Reiner got murdered, it was just a gut punch again. And it's just, and then you hear about, you know, like the Brown University shooting and the one in Australia. And because you don't have a person to, you know, they don't tell you who the victims are, it doesn't have as much of a gut punch effect. And I think we're getting used to it, you know, like, oh, you know, 12 people were killed here and 3 were killed there. And they don't mention their names. And so it doesn't have as much of an effect or something. But eventually, after I start looking at who the victims were, you know, it becomes a slow gut punch. And I'm just really disappointed with fucking human beings in general. And then everyone, if you are still listening, needs to go out and see what your fucking president said about this, because I have never seen such a weird post from any human being, let alone the president of the United States, in response to a tragedy. I mean, it was just, it took him 2 sentences and it was about him and about his, you know, dislike for Rob Reiner's politics. And it just like, and looking back to the whole Kirk thing, when, you know, liberals were doing that to them, they were like firing people and fucking, they were threatening to arrest people and have the National Guard. It's just, oh, I'm so disappointed, Scott. What the fuck? What are you gonna do?
Well, I can't top that sentiment. It's just, we just have to face the fact that our government, let me just put it this way: the government was corrupt in many, many ways before Trump, but he just brought it to a whole new level. And it stinks mostly because of him, or because he got all the stinky people to follow him, and now that's who we have in government. And
yeah, all the stink is in one big herd right now. And and then you know, then we have all the crazies, you know, like Rob Reiner's son was obviously fucking something batshit crazy going on there. I mean, what the fuck, over an argument? Yeah, it's just and then you got the herd or whatever, and then we got this asshole right here. This is Cornelius Hunter asshole. This is
Well, I know we can't put him at that same level as Trump, but
I can't.
He's a dingus. He's a dingus.
Oh, I'm going to. Well, yeah, I don't know if anything reaches the level of Trump, but he's got a video here that we can take a look at for a few minutes, but we'll get to that. So now he's got these 12 or something predictions of evolution. And he wrote a book or a little mini book about it. And all 12 of them are these straw man ideas about evolution that, came mostly from Charles Darwin or, from ancient history. And then he goes on to show research that, basically makes it more complicated and more nuanced than what these original cherry-picked straw man ideas are about.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just says, okay, and this makes evolution a religion. No one should believe it because his straw man arguments for evolution or predictions for evolution didn't happen. And that's basically what they all are. And this latest one I watched, I was very confused because I don't understand how he gets from what he's saying and the papers he's showing to evolution is a religion and it's all false. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know either. I just imagine his bedroom is like filled with links and lengths of red thread going from one weird poster to another.
And they're all posters of Charles Darwin and people from like the fucking 19th century and earlier. And it's just like he's gotten into this whole. He thinks that somehow the 19th century is how we think today. And I know that's how he thinks and that's how Rebecca thinks because they're both ignorant about anything having to do with evolution, science, or current molecular biology. Mm-hmm. I know that's how they think. So I guess it isn't surprising that they think everyone else thinks the same way they do with the same ignorant 19th century science, which was pretty goddamn bad when you start to, when you compare it with what's going on today. And I don't know.
Well, science was in its infancy, and the science builds on knowledge, and there was less knowledge then. So there's going to be, the theories and the practices are going to be ill-refined.
Yep. Oh, before I share this, let me do something here. Get it right. It keeps showing me some girl's butt on YouTube, and I don't know what the hell that's all about. Some sort of exercise. I don't know either, but every time I look, it's like, what the fuck is that? I don't know.
Is it about that Kim Kardashian person?
No, I'm not sure. Not even the nicest butt, to be honest.
You said butt, and Dika Verdeman shows up.
Oh, I said butt, and Cornelius Hunter started talking. I don't know if you heard that yet. I hadn't shared it yet.
I didn't hear it yet.
Oh, okay. Let's see if it works. Are you going to work? Yeah. Oh, cool. It's sharing it like that. Okay. We're going to go all the way back to some of this garbage here. Where's the garbage? The garbage starts about right here. And Rebecca, she's just so proud of this guy. She keeps having him on. It's like he's speaking her little incantation. It's basically her weird ass vibe she gets from him, and she keeps keeps putting him out there. Anyway, we'll listen to it.
So those are the major highlights of why evolutionary theory is not a good scientific theory. Now, not being a good
scientific theory, go back to that and take a look at that.
Good scientific theory.
Oh God, come on. Okay, no plausible cause, predictions fail, scathing divisions, many failed theories. I have no idea what he's talking about. Evolution is like one big seething, evolving theory, right?
Yeah. Are those
And
Rebecca's points or Cornelius Hunter's points?
oh, there you go. No, those are his points. These are his slides. So let's see. If I make a new account and pretend to have a PhD and say nonsense, do you think I should? Yes, you probably could. Oh, yeah. You might get her to go for the whole lobster thing. I don't know. Start talking about how lobster evolution fails to start. That'll work. Anyway, maybe it'll work. Should we put our link out there in case anybody wants to join us for this bullshit? Because we don't really have a plan today. We don't have a plan. What do you mean it's up to me? This is a fucking democracy. I can only vote 50%.
I abstain.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
you decide.
So I'm 100%. I don't know. I think we'll put it out there. Let me do that. We're not batting 1,000 here today. I don't even know what's going on here. I don't even know what's happening. They got all icons now, and I don't like icons. I don't read icons. I don't know what is wrong with these people. If you don't have a big enough screen, it's all icons all the way down. Oh, my Mac might die unexpectedly. It's been being a little fickle. So
I think
okay,
it's mad at you for all the big files you're trying to download.
Yeah, that's probably I don't know. They're making it hard to download big files, especially from slow servers. I got a real slow one that I'm working on.
The major highlights of why evolutionary theory is not a good scientific theory. Now, not being a good scientific theory in and of itself is not necessarily a showstopper. There's ideas that aren't very good that are still kind of interesting, and let's play along with it and let's see where it leads us. But evolution is different because it's claimed to be a fact. It's an undeniable fact beyond all reasonable doubt. You have to accept evolution. If you don't, you must have nefarious motives or something. There's something wrong.
Yeah, something wrong with you.
Because
yeah. Okay. So this is probably the biggest thing with him when he hears the word evolution, no matter where it is. I mean, even if he wasn't there a movie called Evolution, it probably got him right up out of his chair when he saw the name.
There was a movie called Evolution starring David Duchovny and I can't remember who else.
Yeah, I never got over David Duchovny's series that he came from. What was that? The X-Files.
X-Files. Yeah.
Yeah, I never liked him because of that. I don't know.
You didn't like the X-Files?
I did not particularly. Was not fond of the X-Files. I thought it was just a bunch of. I guess I watched a season, but I don't know. There was something wrong. I'm all about the science, and they weren't. So anyway,
that's why they call it science fiction.
Oh, okay. I always miss that part. I always think, oh God, this is a horrible science lesson.
You just stop at science. You see science fiction. Oh, it's supposed to be science.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So let's listen to him.
The theory is true, and that's where things get weird because you've got an obviously false theory, an obviously failed theory, and yet you have people claiming it to be true. Well, you got all that religion going.
And yet Cornelius Hunter has never written a paper in any of the current evolutionary biology journals and published it because he knows something, right? It's obviously
because they're all against him. They would take him seriously if they weren't against him.
Yeah. Well, there's probably a reason. Reason, yeah. Well.
Going on, right? That I talked about. That's what's going on. So evolution is a religious theory. It's not a scientific theory. I've got papers explaining more details on that, but that's the idea.
I read one of his papers, and it is just such lightweight bullshit. He does not make the point at all, other than to talk about this historical thing about the 19th century. And I forget which paper I went through an entire paper, and it's like, okay, where's the beef? There was no beef.
Yeah, he just.
What does it mean? Yeah, no plausible cause. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
He reminds me of this guy that used to. He was like really religious and really sold on end times kind of prophecy and stuff that
Yeah,
you really never could have a conversation with him. You just had to let him talk at you about, how the Antichrist is going to come soon, and how, how the government is helping bring about the beast or whatever. And he would just go on, and then you'd leave, and he'd go, "Okay, nice talking to you." I went, "Yeah, right,"
yeah.
But
Yep.
anyway, he's obsessively wrong. He can't stand being wrong and being shown to be wrong, so he comes up with these cockamamie ideas. And fortunately for him, there's a market out there.
Yeah. That's Cornelius Hunter. He just has absolutely no content, nothing at all. Even as his 12 failed predictions of evolution, each one is like a page and a half. And he's got some cherry-picked bullshit that he comes up with, and he claims that doesn't. And it's just absolute garbage. And when you listen to him, and you see Rebecca presenting him, it's like, oh man, this guy must be something else, right? He's not. He's just absolute garbage, and I can't quite get my mind around why he keeps talking. I don't get it.
Because somebody's giving him
airspace. Yeah. Yep.
That's what we're seeing from the literature. From a scientific perspective, again, as I said, it fails badly. So false ideas have consequences. And a lot of work has been done on, well, what are the consequences of evolutionary theory? They go.
Before I forget, I just want to point out that he's saying if we look at the literature, they're all wrong. They're all just full of hot air. Yet everything that he uses to back up his claims is from that very same literature, from those very same journals, from those very same researchers that he claims are basically full of shit, right? They're full of shit until they say something that sounds like it's going in his direction.
Yeah, he can using baling wire and bubble gum can just kind of make something they say fit his cockamamie theory or cockamamie outlook.
Yep. Anyway, so now he goes on about the consequences, and this is fucking ridiculous. He's just got this hate bag going on for evolution, and it's just like, what in the hell where did evolution touch him on the doll?
Yeah, and who is it that's coming to these conclusions about the consequences of evolution? Is it evolutionary scientists? Is it actual sociologists? Because usually only the fringe ones will blame evolution for, all the atrocities of recent history.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in popular press where a bunch of sociologists are saying evolution, it's just destroying us. There's, they are saying that about iPhones and AI, but not evolution. So anyway. Okay, so now he gets into the consequences.
It failed badly. So false ideas have consequences. And a lot of work has been done on, well, what are the consequences of evolutionary theory? They go far beyond just, we got a bad origins theory. It has huge consequences. In fact, evolutionary theory is probably the most consequential scientific theory in areas outside of science. It really gets out of science very quickly and very consequential. I mean, right off the bat, you can look at eugenics. That's an obvious example. Darwin's cousin started that.
Are we still doing eugenics in the United States? Is there a
only people I know of possibly doing eugenics are the billionaires who are trying to live forever and upload their consciousness to the computers or something.
Yeah, so I don't know what he's talking about with eugenics.
And then there's all the stuff that came out of eugenics that we're still dealing with today. There's the holocausts of the 20th century that trace to evolutionary thinking.
can we really trace Hitler to evolutionary thinking? Was Hitler did he get like a PhD in biology or something that I don't know about, or was he I don't know. And wasn't that like 80 years ago? Dr. Hunter? Like, what the hell is he talking about?
Beginning with Africa, down in Africa in the first century of the 20th century.
What?
And everything that happened after that. So a lot of bad things came out of evolutionary theory.
Did they really?
Another one is cancer. Now, what do I mean by that? This is this
Cancer.
emerging story that is going to
Okay. Evolution causes cancer. Be careful, boys and girls.
take a while to develop. But evolutionists are very clear on this. They insist that cancer is an evolutionary disease. And what do I mean by that? That it is caused by mutations. And we all know how mutations are, crucial to evolutionary theory, right? That's the fuel. That's the underlying source of biological diversity, which is so crucial. Unguided biological diversity, which is the core of evolutionary theory. You've got to have that. So mutations and the genome are central to evolutionary theory. So evolutionists think in terms of the genome. In fact, they say if you could reproduce the genome of any species, then you could create, an organism. I mean,
Okay, so no, nobody thinks that anymore, Dr. Hunter. If you have some DNA in a test tube, it's not going to create an organism. Okay, you need the mommy cell, you need the daddy cell. You need an existing cell before you're going to basically get an organism. Nobody thinks that you can just create an organism or a T-Rex from DNA. The ones that are trying to do like the dire wolf and what is it called? What's it called? Mastodon? Mammoth? Mammoth?
They're very similar related.
Well, what they're trying to do, they're trying to basically use an elephant to kind of carry that, right?
Yeah,
But I mean, this gene-centric thing, it is just so yesterday. And he's going to use that shit, the selfish gene and Dawkins going back to the 1980s and all that. And they're going to keep harping about this shit. And it just misses so much nuance.
I was looking up on Copilot here. Why cancer is considered an evolutionary disease? Mutation and variation. Cancer begins when normal cells acquire genetic mutations. Natural selection. Basically, if your body's natural defenses can kill a cancer, it will. And if it can't, obviously that cancer will continue to grow. Adaptation. Genomic instability. Processes like chromothripsis, catastrophic chromosome shattering accelerate tumor evolution, producing aggressive drug-resistant cancers. Research consensus. Stanford medicine studies show that pre-cancer cells accumulate predictable sequential mutations over time, highlighting evolutionary pathways toward malignancy. This sounds a lot like scientific research that's pointing towards that conclusion. Now, if there's other research that points to a different conclusion, scientifically arrived at, certainly we should look at that, but you can't just dismiss cancer as an evolutionary process, except for the fact that Cornelius Hunter will get his little nose out of joint at the word evolution.
Yeah. Well, there's a paper that he comes up with that Thomas Seyfried is the most prominent modern advocate of the mitochondrial metabolic theory of cancer. And it basically, we knew about this stuff in the 1950s. We knew that cancer basically screws up the mitochondrial, screws up the regular pathways, basically, and ends up using a whole lot of more energy. It becomes a very inefficient cell. I think they call it the Warburg hypothesis or something. Anyway, this Thomas Seyfried has been running around, and he is not popular with cancer researchers particularly. So anyway, there were a few researcher figures tied to this line of thought. Thomas Seyfried is the most prominent modern advocate and he's from Boston College. He argues that cancer arises primarily from dysfunctional mitochondrial energy metabolism, impaired oxidative phosphorylation, leading cells to rely on fermentation. And that creates oxidative species that can cause mutation. So there is a good chance that some cancers basically start out with some sort of mitochondrial problem. But how does the mitochondrial problem start? It's probably a mutation or some dysregulation will cause the mitochondria to all basically start to dysfunction. I mean, there's like tens of thousands of them in each cell, and you'd have to get them all to do this thing in order to cause cancer, that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's just, it's kind of a straw man version of cancer. Hi, Austin. So.
Hey, I was going to say, I know one of the ways people can get like stomach or intestinal cancers through their diet is that if they eat foods that are really high in calories from fat, it can cause the bacteria in the gut microbiome to be anaerobic. So they are producing carcinogenic waste in your guts, and that can cause, the mutations that cause cancer in the cells around.
Oxidative species, basically.
Yeah.
And there are cigarettes cause cancer, asbestos. There's just a host of things. And
Smoke,
then
sunlight, high temperatures, radiation.
But then there's the cancers that we know a lot about that started out with like something like 11 mutations that will turn a cell back into an embryonic cell. And if it turns back into a stem cell and it starts reproducing like it's an embryo again, then you got a cancer. And there's, so saying that, just mitochondria causes it, or you end up with something. Rebecca later on here has this person that says, I had cancer twice, and the first time I had chemotherapy and it came back, and then I just changed my diet and then I got rid of it. That's the kind of bullshit that you're going to hear from these pseudoscientist assholes that are going to convince people that they can go off chemo or not listen to their doctor and start just, I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to eat celery. Or my dad, when he was dying of cancer, he thought eating onions would do it for him. And it didn't. And it's just bullshit, and it's, the thing is that there's the mitochondria are definitely affected because your regulatory network and apoptosis and everything starts to go to hell, mostly because of these mutations, and they affect your mitochondria and they kick it into this mode, which is kind of odd because a lot of cancers have the same effect on the mitochondria. So there's something in our regulatory network that is very easy to tip on its side and screw up the mitochondria. And that happens in a lot of cancers. Which makes it really an important thing today because they're trying to detect this dysfunction in mitochondria and target cells based on that. And nobody is fucking denying that. Like Hunter says, the evolutionists aren't going to look at the mitochondria. It's like, no, cancer researchers are looking at everything. They're not saying, evolution says I have to look at this because it's my religion. It's like, no, you idiot.
He's got a big red string going across his room.
Right.
Cancer or something.
Exactly.
He's turning it into this conspiracy theory.
Yep.
There's so much misinformation and so many bad actors out there. It's truly exhausting. I met somebody today who claims that because he's never been vaccinated and because he takes lots of vitamins and uses lots of supplements and detoxes and all this other, he uses essential oils and shit, that he's fucking, he can read people's minds because he went to a Tony Robinson lecture and he can walk on fire without burning his bare feet, which, by the way, you can't walk on fire, but you can walk on coals without burning your bare feet. And we understand the reasons why. It's not really even a miracle.
Quickly, yeah.
But the telepathy claim was really interesting. Oh man. And of course he's a doctor. I say that with, I hope you can hear the air quotations in my voice when I say that. The same way Kent Hovind is a doctor. He went to an institution called Clayton School of Natural Health, which, oh my God, if you see the website for it, it's very easy to tell that it is just a diploma mill for grifters who want to sell supplements and vitamins and stuff. And it's hilarious. His pedigree keeps getting longer with every comment he posts. You know, he goes from being a physician to a physician of 30 years to a human physician, an animal physician, a kinesthesiologist. Like, just the list just keeps getting longer and longer. And yes, all of this misinformation is out there. All of these bad actors are out there. They are misrepresenting science, mostly for political virtue signaling.
Yeah.
And it's mind-blowing to me that that is the case, because it is completely useless beyond that. Nobody is getting anything done anywhere in an actual company with this shit. There's no research happening. It's all social media posting and videos and just blog spam. It's all meant mostly for political control. It's mostly to keep people who are right-wing from not becoming, not right-wing anymore. It's mostly about keeping them comfortable in their worldview and not questioning things. And the downstream effect of it is that you have like 27 different fucking major schools of misinformation. The Earth's not flat. Evolution is real. Climate change is happening. We landed on the moon. Space is real. Dinosaurs are real. All of this insane shit. My own aunt is telling me at dinner that she thinks the Civil War wasn't fought over slavery. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, the educational system in this country is so fucking bad. And then there's all these social media and social constructs that have been created by people like this that throw kerosene on the fire in a huge way. And it's really upsetting. It's really exhausting. And social media companies don't do shit about it because it helps them make money.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, these guys, they're like, they want to be in this elite group. Mm-hmm. And all of science is a big conspiracy or a big bunch of dumb religious nutcakes, right?
Yes, yeah.
And they kind of want to take the attention off their own little story about the zoo boat. But Hunter, no, he's really brilliant because he's Teflon, right? He says, "Oh, I don't care if evolution is true. That's no problem for me. And I'm not a young Earth creationist, and I'm not." But then you listen to him a little bit later in this video, and him and Rebecca are talking about their Almighty God, right? Mm-hmm. And he's chuckling about how this woman that changed her diet to get rid of cancer, she also prayed, right? And obviously the Almighty did that. So I mean, he's a religious nutcake who will not admit it. And what do you think his game is? Just is he making money on this? I don't think so.
Oh man, possibly, maybe even probably, but I want to respond to Icarus here. Honestly, Icarus, this is the main reason now I even respond to young Earth creationists at all, because it is tangentially related to fucking anti-vax and Holocaust denial and other shit. I honestly don't care that much about young Earth creationism itself anymore. It's just a stupid, kooky belief that most people don't really believe in. It's the other shit, the gateway conspiracy theories that people get into through young Earth creationism that are more on my radar than young Earth creationism itself. Like anti-vaccine hysteria, which causes thousands, maybe millions of deaths. Like every year. It's fucking terrible. And I definitely think Holocaust denial is a more concerning and bigger one, because that one, in a broader sense, makes it more possible for other genocides to happen. And there are other genocides happening right now that people aren't talking about. Fucking looking at you, Israel, and what you're doing to Gaza, and looking at fucking what's going on in Ukraine with Russia. You know, both of those genocides are on my radar, and those are both ones that people deny, alongside not actual, they're all genocides. The one we call the Holocaust, you know, the one that was so big that we refer to it, it's kind of like jacuzzi versus hot tub situation. People deny that shit too, and it's tied to all the other denial too, which is insane, because I kind of thought people just knew that humans were basically murderous, just a barely a half step above wild animals, and I guess they didn't know that. Like, it really blows my mind. I'm sorry, I'm ranting.
I was basically today and yesterday have been a really bad day for me. I'm really disappointed in humanity, and it just, all this shit that's happening, and the Rob Reiner thing really gut punched me, and some of it in the other shootings, and then our asshole who's in charge in Washington D.C. His comments gut punched me. And then I run into these assholes, and they're going on about, you know, how all of evolutionary science is just all wrong. It's just, you know, and your thing about creationists, you'd be surprised how many kids are being taught this stuff right now, Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know kids in my family that are getting this bullshit fed to them, spoon fed to them. And they don't have, I mean, this stuff is kind of growing because of social media, I believe. I think it's taking a bigger chunk out of us.
Well,
and so
what's happening
what we're
is
doing is
people are more professional, and again, I hope you hear the air quotes in my voice when I say that. Creationists are making use of AI. They're abusing AI, and it's sharpening their apologia. It's giving them more raw materials with which to craft mindfuckery, which is basically what all their shit comes down to, is just pure mindfuckery. And it's especially pernicious because most of the mindfuckery is coming from people that they should have been able to trust. Like Donnie Bodinsky should have been able to trust Christian pastor Kent Hovind, but Kent Hovind scooped his brain out of his head, threw it in a mindfuckery blender, and turned it on to the highest setting for like 10 years straight, without once being honest about his limitations as a human being and all of his beliefs and his true epistemology. And that is just mind-blowing to me. We all watched that basically happen in real time because of social media. It's fucking mind-blowing.
Yeah, and there's something else about this young earth creationist bullshit, and Rebecca and Cornelius, and I've noticed this with them very heavily, is that when you have this belief in this biblical creation, or when you deny evolution, what it makes them do is not look into the biology in detail. They'll stay at the surface, and they, like, Hunter doesn't know jack shit about genetics at all, not jack shit. He knows a few words that he can throw around, but when you listen to him talk about like microRNAs and things like that, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and he's never going to, because he has no incentive to read the books and understand the science, right? So that becomes a really big problem with these people, and it's kind of the problem for the common man. The common man's going to hear this on the street. He's going to hear somebody say something convincing, and he's just never going to learn any of the details as a result. They're going to miss it, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm using AI on them. So I'm using AI back on them.
One thing I would say is that basically there was something the scientific community developed in response to climate change denial called the Flick model. And the smarter apologists took that less as a warning and more of a suggestion. And what the Flick model is it basically just outlines the tactics and phylogenizes them of disinformation and misinformation. And the tactics it came up with were fake experts, logical fallacies, impossible standards, cherry picking, and conspiracy theories. And
okay.
most apologists, most disinformationists, YouTube content creators like Joe Rogan and Rob Sepper and Graham Hancock and our, Donnie Deals himself, they all kind of they pick a couple of their favorite tactics off that list, and those are the ones they hit the most, but they all kind of use all of them. And you can, knowing kind of like what their grab bags of tactics are, can at least help inoculate you from them, even if you don't know enough to, dismantle their arguments yourself. They can inform you as to the trickery that's happening.
Donnie Dingleberries. I asked him in one of his posts, I said, can I call you Donnie Dingus or something like that? And he never responded to me. I'm just like, I asked permission if I could call him that, but yeah, Donnie Deals. Anyway, there was this hilarious moment about 3-4 years ago on where somebody, I forgot who it is. I think it might have been Andrew Cumming. I'm not sure. Somebody found Donnie on Facebook, and it turns out he was a Volkswagen salesman. And we found all these videos of him selling Volkswagens.
Oh, wow.
And he was talking in exactly the same cadence as he does when he's selling Young Earth creationism. And it was incredibly funny. And none of us wanted to dox him. We found out his name was Donnie Badinsky and all that stuff. And we were just laughing our asses off about all this. And we had to do it all behind the scenes because I wouldn't allow anybody to dox him, right? And then he came out himself and, with his books and admitted who he was. But he's never owned it. He took all those videos down of him selling Volkswagens. God, I wish I'd kept one. They were so incredible because the way he talked, his language and his delivery was identical to when he's talking like he does on his channel. And it was he was talking about the frame.
Yeah. The
and
confidence
rust proofing.
Yeah.
It was just, oh my God. Anyway, so
that's part of how you sell it. You just oversell your confidence. You don't ever show any humility. You're 100% certain. And that's literally how creationism itself works. You presuppose the utter and unmistakable truth of a specific interpretation of the Bible, and then you have to dogmatically ignore all evidence that contradicts that presupposed conclusion. You can never even sincerely question it, let alone actually discard it if you're shown sufficient evidence that it should be rethought, questioned, or discarded. And that's literally how it works. And I brought that up in our debate, and of course Donnie just called me a whiny baby. I'm explaining to you how your epistemology works. Like, I'm not trying to be a whiny baby. I'm trying to point out why you're coming to the wrong conclusion. And
to your credit, I think he's done 2 or more shorts from that debate and put them on his channel. Yeah. And if you get 2 or more shorts, basically talking about you've succeeded in getting under his skin a little bit. So,
well, I mean, that's not my goal. I'm genuinely hoping that he can be convinced. I went in with the viewpoint that I'm not going to just assume because other people have told me he's bad faith that he is. I'm going to try and see if I can I'm going to give him my very best arguments. I'm going to be ridiculously generous. And I think I succeeded in doing that. But no, in hindsight, I don't think he can be convinced. And I do actually think he is. I don't think he's bad faith. I think he is a true believer. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah,
we don't have to talk about him.
I don't
either.
understand why Donnie is, because Donnie, he has delved into some of these subjects, and sometimes, like I've heard him admit that the chromosome 2 fusion happened a couple times. And so,
No,
like,
he'll
some of the shit,
performatively accept things. Like, he'll performatively accept the definition of evolution, but it's just so that he can move on to his talking points.
yeah.
And
He
then,
loves to
but
gallop along.
when an honest interlocutor should go, oh, I've accepted a definition that goes against this renders my talking points moot. But he's not there for that. He's there to run the talking points. Kent Hovind taught him how to use a script, and he's written his own scripts now, and he runs those, just like Kent Hovind does.
Yeah.
And it works for performance art, because anytime you get into an area that the script can't handle, you just got to find some way to get back on script, which is easy to do if you're up against interlocutors that are assuming you're honest and good faith, or inexperienced people who are just trying to have a real conversation. There's all kinds of ways you can take advantage of specific formats using your script and bad faith tactics.
Yeah. Okay, so evolutionists claim cancer is an evolutionary disease. It has fuck all to do with being an evolutionist. Doctors claim cancer is an evolutionary disease because they found out that it basically, like bacteria, it can build tolerance to certain chemotherapy regimes, and they found out that it mutates, and natural selection picks out certain cancers that are immune to the therapy they're giving them, and they have to change up the therapy. And we've known that forever. And well, not forever, for the last 20, 30 years. And so it's just like this whole thing that evolution is. And then the other thing, if cancer isn't caused by mutations, if it's actually all cancers are caused by some mitochondria having a bad day, it doesn't have a fucking thing to do with evolution. It does not disprove evolution, right? It just means that cancer is caused by mitochondria. It's like if we found out that colds are caused by viruses, is that going to disprove evolution? No.
These guys bring the conspiracy thinker out of me, partly because I steel man them sometimes, and also just partly from just being exposed to them all the time. Do you think it's possible they made this slide just to put as many evolution words next to as many bad words as possible? Evolutionists, cancer, evolutionary disease.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Anyway. We'll listen to him for a bit, and then I want to look at basically I have a chat with AI about these things, because God, I can't. Normally, what I've always done in the past, I spend 3-4 days reading papers, and then I come back at them, and then I just confuse everybody because I got too much information. So what I've been doing lately is like, okay, fuck you. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm gonna keep doing the research that I'm doing on the side. I'm not going to change course. And I'm just going to ask AI to tear you down. And that's what I did here. So we'll get to that. But okay, let's see what he says here.
Just really briefly. I think the issue with that is that you have this whole like army of protein machines that have to be working at the same time. And there's kind of a chicken and egg thing. Is that what the issue with saying it's all about the genes is, or what's the issue?
There's a lot more to it than that. In fact, that's really another podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a Stanford researcher who has really promoted this idea that the genome is like not a big deal. I mean, obviously it's part of the story, no question about it.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal. The genome's not a big deal. We don't need it. We can just remove it. It's just like the genome has nothing to do with why your children are going to be humans at all, right? It had nothing to do with it. The mom cell would have been enough. But wait, does a mom cell have a genome? Yeah, it does.
You have to remember, they're not trying to train people to actually go into a laboratory and put some biomolecules on a slide and look at them under a microscope. They're not trying to train people to spin something in a centrifuge and do something actually scientific. The goal is just to train people to better defend this version of Christianity. That is it. So for them, he's probably right that the genome doesn't matter. Don't let yourself get confused by the facts. You have a script to run. And so that's not important. We'll do another podcast about that where I teach you the creationist arguments for that. And it's because there's two tiers of creationism. There's creationists who are actually somewhat educated and are like, some of them are even actually scientists. And then there's the people like Rebecca who are just, they're flying monkeys, basically. They're never going to be in a lab. They're never going to contribute to scientific literature. That's not the goal for them. The goal is to understand things well enough to defend Jesus. And that's the whole point of her channel, honestly.
Okay, so we have a PhD in cancer bio on.
Hey, I have had.
I remember you.
A lot. It's been a while.
Yeah,
so,
we talked to you after Dr. Dan's thing.
Yeah. That really pissed me off when he said that we're.
When I said what?
No, when Cornelius, I like to call him by his first name because he sounds like a nerd.
Yeah.
When Cornelius said that cancer research has shifted away from the genome.
Yeah.
We've shifted focus a little bit more towards epigenetics because we've found that that is a key factor as well, and immunotherapy and prevention and other ways in which cancer acts and like trying to treat cancer from those angles. But the genome is still absolutely essential because we're still discovering new things in the genome, new mutations in the genome that induce different types of cancer and in different scenarios. So you can't. That pissed me off, but that's all. That's all.
Yeah, and
if misinformation upsets you, you're gonna be fuming by the end of this.
Oh no, I'm used to it, but
yeah. And saying the genome is not important in in embryogenesis is just such bullshit. It's just that
nonsense.
We've understood that the maternal cell and the maternal mRNAs have a big effect on the first week of the embryo, right? But then eventually the genome of the offspring is going to take over, and because of that, they're saying, the genome isn't important, and because you can't take DNA and put it in a test tube and have it turn into a frog. I mean, for Christ's sake, we never thought it could. So I mean, they drive me crazy with this stuff. They find some little, like some new thing that we've discovered or figured out, some new complexity like this. I don't know how much you know about this safe read and the mitochondria, the regulatory mechanisms that basically are at play in a cancer cell, right?
Yep.
They find that, and it's like, oh my God! Now it's we can cure your cancer by eating celery. It's like this is such bullshit, It's like, but that's,
what gets me is that they'll not only do that, they'll do that with a paper that unequivocally disagrees with exactly what their conclusion and takeaway from the paper is, like they've done with you et al. Like,
so my day job is no longer in research. I work as an editor, so misinformation is it's something that I have decided to use my doctorate towards, is trying to combat that. Every time I get some kind of manuscript from my colleagues, it's usually a medical student or a resident who doesn't do research very much.
Yeah.
More focused on the clinic. But I see the laziness that comes up where they're writing their manuscript, but they cite, they say something like this such and such study found this, or or they just state a fact and they cite a
Paper.
review paper, and that's fine and dandy. But when the review paper itself totally doesn't either doesn't mention the thing that you're talking about at all.
Yeah.
I've seen that, and then I also see, well, you know, like for example, I've had a student send me a manuscript, and he cited a reference paper about cytocholine, but there are many different kinds of cytocholine, and he was specifically talking about, because he did a metabolomics analysis in his research, and he came up this metabolite came up that was upregulated in it wasn't even a cancer paper, but that was upregulated, and he was trying to talk about it. Well, the review paper that he referenced did not talk about that cytocholine at all.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I'm like, you cannot, you really got to fix this. Either you change the sentence or change the paper or the reference, because this is one of the many ways in which misinformation ends up coming out. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out that the statement he made about that cytocholine was totally false.
Yeah.
I'm glad I caught that, because that could have caused a domino effect. And so if that even got through with the journal.
Yeah, and some of it is because these guys are a little bit overworked, and there's a little laziness involved, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I do my job.
Yeah.
Because they're too busy. They're too busy worrying about their patients. They don't need to be doing meticulous manuscript writing when they've already done all the research for it.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah, so this nonsense that he's promoting here, this is one of his big things, is this safe, and he does show this the latest safe read paper on basically where he's kind of having a fight with the rest of the cancer community about how important mitochondria are, and I think they're kind of saying that mitochondria can be causal in cancer, and in some cancers, I'm sure it can. You know, I'm sure that happens, because there's probably dozens of things like that are going to kick off, the right thing. But at the end of the day, you're going to have, I think genetics is definitely going to have a big part to play in whether a cancer cell turns into a stem cell and starts dividing like crazy, right?
Yeah. So you probably heard of the Wahlberg effect.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Yeah,
they're talking about. Well, here's the other thing: is the Wahlberg effect isn't actually the entire story when it comes to cancer metabolism. It's that, but also, for example, my dissertation talked about how acute myeloid leukemia cells. There's heterogeneous. It's actually a heterogeneous collection of these leukemia cells, and there is a subset of leukemia cells that you could take a bunch of leukemia cells out of an AML patient, a patient with AML, and you could do a cell sorting, flow cytometry, and look at all the different characteristics. And there's a subset of cells that actually use oxidative phosphorylation. And if you treat those cells with oxidative phosphorylation inhibitors, they undergo apoptosis. So, but there's still another subset of cells that rely on glycolysis, and we've realized that with, you probably heard of the concept of there's like pretty much every cancer tumor, or not every cancer situation has cancer stem cells.
Yeah.
Those cancer stem cells have characteristics that allow them to either shift to glycolysis or to oxidative phosphorylation. So you can target glycolysis, but you're not going to be targeting those cancer stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so mitochondria is absolutely essential.
So that reeks of natural selection. That you have these two different kinds of cells, and they have two different behaviors. You kill one, and the other one is gonna, take over or whatever. So I don't know if I'm talking nonsense.
And that explains why, at first we were kind of saying that it's an evolutionary disease, but more and more is we're realizing is that it's so much more complex than that, because cancer is a messy disease.
Yeah, it mutates a lot.
Not only does it mutate, but it the way it behaves, it just leaves a huge it's chaotic. It's not like it. I mean, it's caused by mutations, but also there's epigenetic factors as well. And since evolution is more, it's kind of both.
Yeah, well, this was a really good one to hit them on, Mike, and I think it's a good. You can see absolutely how this feeds into alternative health bullshit, pseudoscience, fucking snake oil cures that don't do a fucking thing to protect your health. You know, vitamin supplements, fucking detox, all this woo-woo bullshit, essential oils, homeopathics. And it's ultimately because people can't really understand the things nucleotidal wave is talking about. But for, you know, some snake oil grifter talking about how tough you are and the Lord protecting you and just saying your prayers will protect you from illness, then you can see how this shit is all interrelated, how young earth creationism helps people hawk snake oil and how hawking snake oil helps young earth creationists. It's all a big little friendly cult to one another. And that's why it's rare to find a young earth creationist who's not also an anti-vaxxer or a woo-woo health nut type. Almost all of the ones I've found are. I've only found one that isn't, you know, so.
Yeah. But the thing you were saying about cancer, that's true of biochemistry of the cell in general, or molecular biology of the cell. It's always this chaotic system, and it's always, you know, epigenetics. It's going to be the genome. It's going to be just it's going to be this stochastic mix of some combination of proteins and RNAs and ions and whatever that are going to keep the cell doing what it does. And that is going to change throughout the life of the cell and throughout the life of the organism, right? There's all of this. I mean, the whole thing is like, it's just chaotic is what you called it. It's just chaos. And every now and then that chaos turns into something that we call a cancer or something that we call basically a stroke or whatever. I mean, it's this constant chaotic system that's in this strange balance. And that the thing that's really fascinating about life itself is that this stochastic ball of mud, you know, this mud puddle of the cell manages to keep going and do the things that it does. And it's very, very chaotic, the mechanisms, and it has to do with ratios and all of that stuff. And it's really hard to get your mind around, but none of that says evolution is false. None of it. In fact, you can see it. Like the really interesting thing is what I mentioned about the first week of the zygote. Basically, takes the maternal mRNAs are in the cell in the zygote, right? That gets fertilized. And it takes a while for the maternal RNAs and maternal mitochondria to give up the ghost and to let the next generation take over. And so life just keeps, like, one living organism overlaps with the next living organism, you know, that gets reproduced. And at every stage of the game, there are very small mutations in that stochastic chaotic mix of cells. And that's what you look at. If you look at the timeline going back 300 million years, that's how you get to, you know, these other animals. That's how evolution works. It's this constant overlap with change. And then, of course, you got to look at populations, and that gives you a whole different picture of, you know, what's going on chaotically and stochastically. But life is amazing. It's amazing that carbon chemistry can do this and keep the ball rolling like it does. You know.
Yes, there's a way that entropy flows through living systems That's just absolutely fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And it goes all the
And-
way down to the very level of atomic chemistry, in that only really like 9 or 10 elements are actually stable, and all the other elements are way more unstable than you would expect. And that allows them to react and evolve and combine and recombine and replicate. And that eventually added up to us, those little replications with variations. We have discovered that natural selection does occur at the microscopic level. And that's one of the reasons Kunin said, the modern synthesis is dead. Maybe a little strong of a statement, but it's one that creationists take out of context. Really, he's not saying evolution is dead at all. He's saying our understanding of it has revolutionized once more.
Yeah, we're looking more toward hierarchical interacting systems, basically, where you have both top-down and bottom-up hierarchies and interactions, and it's really cool. But I've seen illustrations of like magnetic fluids and stuff like that, where they'll build up this complexity out of their chaos, and then the complexity will fall apart, and then it'll build up again. I'd like to find a good video of that. But that's what's going on in life. It's just the entropy is like, okay, in these little pockets is building up this complexity, and that's just how carbon chemistry works, which is kind of cool. And here we are as a result of it, and I think that's fucking miraculous.
Oh, it's one of the coolest things in the world. It's so cool.
Fun to understand. Well, should we listen to a little more bullshit here, or what do you think?
I'm getting ready to go grab some dinner. You guys forge ahead if you want, but I might drop out here.
Yeah. Yep. You should stop in more often. What I call you?
Try.
Nuke or Wave, or no, you too, Austin, but I'm talking to Nuke.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll call you Nuke.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm more into the cancer stuff and the biomedical pseudoscience stuff. If you saw Dr. Mike's interview with Dr. Amen yesterday, holy crap. Oh my gosh. So Dr. Amen, he has this MRI, he has an MRI scanner, and he's been touting with rich people and rich influencers to get their brains scanned so that they can get the right therapy for their mental illness.
Okay. Oh.
And his argument is that every single mental illness we can help, diagnose and decide what treatment you need, just simply by getting a SPECT MRI. Well, you shouldn't be doing that to every single person that's like, oh, I'm tired all the time. Oh, I'm always feeling down, and showing the typical signs of depression or anxiety or whatever. You don't need to get an MRI. First of all, it's a lot of radiation on your brain. Second of all, it's almost way too complicated when you already have treatments for that disease and that are evidence-based clinical trials, randomized control trials that show that treatment works. Well, he doesn't want to do randomized control trials for his SPECT MRI because you have to in order for the MRI to be used in diagnosis for mental illnesses, it needs to be FDA approved, unless you want to be considered experimental. Well, he doesn't want it. Towards the end, he's like, well, let's get a randomized control trial so that we can show that this is really helpful to the people in the clinic. And Dr. Mike is really like trying to like encourage him. Hey, don't you want the SPECT MRI to be available to more people so that more people can get their brain scanned and get their problems solved easier and faster and more efficiently? Yeah. Dr. Amen's like, yeah. He's like, it's pretty obvious that he does not want, what he wants is people who are not rich, who are not influencers, to just buy his books and listen to his podcasts and figure out how to take care of their brains, quote unquote, in order to treat their illnesses. And then he wants the rich people to pay for the MRI.
For the unnecessary MRI.
Absolutely unnecessary MRI. That's how he makes all his money. But
And
if you
I want to
spread,
say too that over medicating is a huge problem
yes,
in the medical industry in a bunch of ways. There's a thing called drug sickness where people go into hospitals and they're really totally fine, and the doctors are trying to figure out what's wrong with them in air quotes, and are giving them all these pharmaceuticals, and that ends up
Oh
making
my
them
God.
actually
Yeah.
ill. So that's the one way. And then another way is this, where they're over prescribing treatments to get money from your insurance. And it's really it's more of a problem with capitalism than with healers, because I doubt a lot of the actual like doctors want to be doing things like that. It's just like a policy to upsell treatments to people to make money off of them. Like the reason it's a policy to give people saline solution, even if they probably really don't need it, because you get to charge them $30
Yeah.
for that bag of water that took 3 cents to produce.
That's
Yeah.
not quite fair. I mean, I had doctors
I
that
will,
were really
yeah.
good people that were, and they ended up putting me on this cocktail that almost killed me, and
Yeah.
and they did it with good intentions, because they would give me something, right, because I had a symptom that was really serious. I had a real problem with bipolar when I was in my 40s, and it was a real serious life-threatening thing. So they gave me one drug, and then they had to give me another drug to counteract that drug, and then they tried to give me another drug and another. I mean, to get rid of side effects or to modify the effects, and they did it with good intentions, and they
Yeah.
did it with. I think they had the pharmaceutical reps, talking in their ear, of course, as to what's going to work. But yeah, it gets to be a real problem. And if you have any sort of mental aberration and they start putting you on they put you on an antidepressant, then they give you something for the side effects and something else, and they put you on some lithium. And when they do that, you just got to say, fucking stop this. I need to reset, go back to zero, and see where the hell I'm at. Maybe
Well,
take a few
and I just
take
think
a
that
mushroom.
people can sometimes be a little bit of a hypochondriac, and
Oh yeah.
doctors need to be able to recognize that
Stop
and
that.
say to them, get better rest, get more fiber, exercise
Right.
more, drink more water, basic stuff like that, and not take advantage of their hypochondria and try to make money off of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and
um,
there's a lot of seriously mentally aberrant people that are struggling and
Mhm.
having trouble, and we don't these basically psychotropic drugs that we're giving them. We don't have any fucking clue how they work.
Yeah.
We have a few clues, but we don't have a lot, and it's just kind of a mess. We're in the dark ages and all that. But so this guy was on Dr. Phil, is Dr.
Dr.
Ahmed.
Dr. Mike.
Yeah, but I've got a picture. I'm looking at the video. I posted the video link, and it has Dr. Phil at the bottom of it. Yeah, that's Dr. Phil. So
What?
he must have appeared on Dr.
Dr.
Phil
Mike does not
at
like
some
Dr.
point. Yeah, I know. I don't like him either. And but it looks like he's showing a clip from this Dr. Ahmed on Dr. Phil or something.
Oh,
I'm sure
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil would love this shit, right? This is right up his alley.
Right. Well, the other,
Except-
what was I saying? Is the other thing is false positive testing. So, for example, in the interview, he also talks about how Dr. Mike keeps getting these patients come in where there's nothing really wrong with them, but they want a thyroid panel. And they say, I just want to make sure my thyroid levels and everything. Well, here's the other issue with that is you could get a false positive, and then that leads to the doctor treat like what you were talking about, Austin, over treating you when you actually don't have anything wrong. In the cancer field, they used to tell us ladies to check our boobs when we're in a shower, like check every time, just check for lumps. Well, now they're not saying that anymore because women would go and get they'd feel a lump and they'd go to the doctor, and either the doctor would feel it too, and then you get a mammogram, and then, oh, I guess you don't have cancer. Well, you just spent a whole bunch of time on getting a mammogram, and you're fighting with your insurance trying to get them to cover it. But the other thing is there's also still a possible, like, you find a lump, you get a mammogram, and then you insist on getting treatment, even though maybe we still have to biopsy it and everything, and we found a lump in the mammogram. Well, we biopsy and it turns out it's just a cyst. Well, so they no longer tell us to really check. We just let our doctors do the checking, and then that way it reduces the amount of false positives, wasting your time.
Yeah.
You spend all this time being anxiety. Oh my gosh, do I have cancer? You spend so much time. You get the mammogram. You're waiting for the mammogram results. You're waiting for the lab results. And so, that's another thing with the MRI.
On the other side of that, I like made up symptoms, and I managed to get a lower abdominal scan, and they found kidney cancer. And I went to the Mayo, and they froze it out, and apparently they got rid of it. And had I not done that, so I mean, the thing about cancer is if you catch it at the stage that I caught it, it becomes a lot more treatable.
My master's was focused on kidney cancer. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it hadn't metastasized, and they froze it out, and that was it. And so far, I think I'm on my fourth year coming up of cancer free. So anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I won't. If we're closing things out, I think this is a good final thought for me. I won't tell you that a hospital is guaranteed to solve your problems.
Of course.
And you need to be vigilant if you go to one.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you what, it's way better than acupuncture or acupressure or cupping or scraping or having somebody pour water and do a shamanistic witch dance over you. Like,
yeah.
The hospital I work for offers acupuncture to cancer patients.
Oh my gosh! All right,
as long as they're still getting their treatment, as long as they're still getting their treatment.
That's
the placebo effect is an effect. It's not ideal.
Yeah,
it doesn't actually work. But when your mind is in the right place, it's so weird. The mind is crazy.
For sure.
So
all right, thanks for having me, Mike.
Okay, bye, Austin. The Mayo Clinic has a bunch of shit like that, like acupuncture, puncture, and and they're probably looking at placebo effect too, because that does really
it's an effect.
Help. Yeah, it is an effect.
It's better than nothing if it's an effect.
Yeah. Yep.
It's so weird.
Anyway, 14 millimeter kidney stone. Oh, that's what you had. Yeah, those suck. Those suck. I've seen those go badly. Anyway, what else we got here?
We need to get, if we don't have it already, we need to get your email address, Nucleotidal Wave, or
I think I've
some way to contact you if we have a panel we'd like you to hop in on.
We've talked before, right? On email?
Yeah.
But how do I find your email? Would it be nuclear?
No.
Give me a clue what it.
It's an Outlook one, and starts with the letter K.
Letter K in that Outlook. Okay, gotcha. I'm pretty sure I have you in my database somewhere because I was very interested. You volunteered to edit my paper or look at it, I think.
Yes.
Sort of. Yeah. If I ever get around to doing it. I'm off on another tangent now. So in order to do that chromosome 2 fusion stuff that I did, I had to spend hours and hours and hours of staring at NCBI and UCSC genome browsers. And I'm writing Python programs to do all that stuff automatically now. For any gene, I'm able to for any gene, I'm able to pull the gene itself, the area on the 5' and the 3' ends, that up to the next gene in the genome or the next artifact, and I'm able to pull every single exon and go down and pull the exact sequence for every exon, every intron. And now today I'm working on doing that with transposons, so I can pull down the entire list of signs, lines, and ERVs, and map them out on a gene in milliseconds instead of hours and hours. So that's where I'm at. So I'm working. I'm
could use that in my master's.
What's that?
Could have used that in my master's during my master's.
I know,
I spent so much time.
I need money really bad, and I was thinking about helping PhD students do this stuff and try to do some of the research for them, because this shit takes hours and hours and every single piece of data that I pull down is in a different format, and the format is never something friendly that you can actually use. You have to do it. So anyway, I'm curating all of that, and I'm trying to put together a little website for that. So that's what I'm up to instead of writing a goddamn paper. Yeah,
you're helping. Yeah, but you're focused on helping other people too. So that's...
I'm trying to help. Yeah. And trying to help myself too. So when one of these creationists come up with it, they come up with some nonsense. It's like, okay, let's look at the nucleotide sequence, and you can show me where. Let's point at it, because I can pull them down, just in seconds now, and it's kind of cool. I'm also able to do comparisons. Right now, I just have the human and the chimp databases, and I've got telomere to telomere accurate gene downloads. And I can look at the exact sequences and pull them all, and I can compare chimp to human, one above the other, which is really cool. And you can see how similar they are. So anyway, that's
there was a program, but it wouldn't. I don't think it was able to handle whole genome, obviously, but spline.
Oh yeah.
When I was teaching during my master's degree, I was using spline because I taught a genetics lab during my master's, and I had the students using spline and comparing the human one certain gene, the tasting gene that have you ever taken the test with the A strips to see if you can taste the bitter chemical, and it kind of helps you. Let me think. I'm gonna look it up real quick. But compare the sequences with using spline. I had the students comparing the human sequence and the chimp and the gorilla and all that.
Cool. I'll show you here in just a second. I'm trying to pull it up here. It's got a real simple example. I can't. Where is it here? Okay, got to turn my camera on, and make me big again. Make Mike big again. I should get a hat. Anyway, so this is on top is a human, and then we have the chimp, and that's the Plex gene, the CREG2 gene, and then RFX8. And these map identical, right, chimp to human, except for down here. Look at this one. So this is RFX8, and the chimp genome. The chimp has three exons popped up in the middle of the intron for the human, because one or two mutations will cause that to happen. If the mutations in the intron can cause that to happen. And what I want to look at, so the next thing I want to do is start putting all of the transposons underneath this, so I can see if a transposon is responsible for upregulating that little piece of the intron on the chimp. And here we have a difference. And the difference probably doesn't amount to a hill of beans, because these are annotations. Scientists have looked at this, or computer programs have found that, those are probably exons. But then if you go out and do the research, you'll find out, no, they're not. They're not actually spliced into the protein or whatever. But I mean, it's interesting to be able to do this. And I can give it huge lists of genes and have it just pop these things out, hundreds of them for the entire genome. And I've got really good, accurate builds. But my next really big dream is to get the enhancers, silencers, and all of the regulatory parts, and then the signs, lines, and ERVs. And that will be awesome. I think it's worth doing for an old man like myself. So anyway, it's what I'm doing in the last quarter of a century of my life, which I'm approaching here on January 7th. I'm pretty sure it's the last quarter of a century. You never know. I might get another quarter out there, but very unlikely, given my drug and alcohol abuse history.
Rick Van Dyke just turned 100.
I know. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. And what the hell? Mel Brooks is he 100 yet?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's 101.
He is
100,
okay. So
102. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty.
They had a
amazing.
whole
And then,
like ceremony for his 100th birthday, didn't they? I thought they had a whole
yeah, I
thing.
must have missed that. Yeah, that's really cool. Dick Van Dyke is really sharp. He wants
Yeah.
to do another movie where he plays Ebenezer Scrooge.
That'd be funny. I'd love that. My mother-in-law
be
would
great.
love that.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty cool. I got. Do I have any others? I guess I got another here somewhere, but yeah, there's another one on my attention. Anyway, I'm trying to get my graphics in order and get it better. And what I'm trying to do is get an idea for a section of the genome. I'm trying to get a feel for what its nature is. And it sounds kind of crazy, woo-woo to say that, but I'm trying to get graphics to give me a better idea about what's going on in our genomes. And then hopefully I'll extend this to rat, mouse, chicken, and maybe a zebrafish. And I'll get it, it'll be good work. Oh, you got to get a raccoon in there. You got to get a raccoon. I've been following the drunken raccoon on Colbert. Did you hear about the drunken raccoon?
Yeah.
They found out he's a repeat offender. He broke into a number of other buildings, and
I think someone has had that. Someone must have had that raccoon since it was a baby, and it just like
fed him alcohol.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think it doesn't seem to be afraid of humans. It's not. It just doesn't like. I've noticed that whenever they catch him, he's just like, "What?" I mean, I know it's because he's drunk, but like he just finds his way into random whatever's this random restaurant or something that broke into.
Yeah.
And just like, oh yeah, I'll just go through this human stuff. Which, I mean, I get that they go through the trash because it's outside.
Yeah,
but then actually going into homes, they don't typically do that unless they're absolutely desperate.
I have raccoons and possums that come in through my cat door. And I had 60 raccoons that I was feeding, and they kept reproducing. When they got up to 60, I quit feeding them because they kept breaking into my catio and threatening my cats. So I had to quit feeding them, and it took me a year and a half to get those little son of a bitches to leave me alone. Every time I'd come outside, they'd come running up to me, Now I've got a flock of turkeys doing that because I've been feeding those assholes. So I like the other day I was trying to get my car out of the garage and the turkeys were running in the garage to get corn, and I'm like, get out of here, you dinosaurs. Pretty nuts.
I only feed the squirrels occasionally so that my dog has something to watch while I'm working.
Oh, feeding squirrels. I used to do that too. I had about 50 of those things, and then they went away for some. All of a sudden, they just all took off. It was pretty weird.
I don't feed them on the regular because that's how they, start to become attached to your home.
I know.
So I just feed them on occasion.
I just love them when, I'd love to do it. I'd love to feed the raccoons, but they won't stay out of my cat fence. Those little son of a bitches, I swear they have cutting torches and welders and grinders, and they get through that fence no matter how many times I patch it. And one time, one of them was getting I have a ceiling on my catio so that the eagles can't get my cats. And I watched one of them, and he was in my yard, and I chased him out, and he climbed up this pole, the supporting beam, and then he went hand over hand on the fence, like Mission Impossible, and went over to the deck, and he got up through a little hole, and I'm like, I couldn't believe what I'd seen. It was just like if you'd had Mission Impossible music playing, it would have been perfect for this guy. He was just hand over hand, upside down underneath a fence, running across my yard. It was like, holy shit, these guys are good. But that's why those little bands they have on their eyes, those are welding goggles. Because they have the equipment, they can get into anything. They're excellent. I guess they're evolving, and I think they said they're getting smaller and smarter in some cities.
They're being domesticated.
The population. And crows, too. I guess crows are typically found within 20 miles of a city.
I
they're
wish I
starting.
could befriend the crows. I wish I could.
They don't like me. I took a shot at them once with an air gun. I didn't try to shoot the crow. I shot the tree because they were eating my squirrel food. That was back during my squirrel feeding phase. And since then, the crows, every time I go out there, they all fly off and they start talking about me. They hate me. And this was like 20 years ago that all I did was hit a tree with a pellet and scare them. And they've been pissed off at me ever since. Because I wanted to feed the crows too. Yeah, I wanted to have a crow phase. But yeah.
I think that if you like feed crows long enough, they'll start bringing you things.
Yeah, well, that'd be good. Bring me money.
But if you piss them off, you're their enemy for life. So.
Yep. Yeah, they remember me. I have not. They used to gather in the trees, and all. They will not. When I go outside, they just take off, and then I hear them with this complicated language out in the woods talking about me. So pretty crazy. They're like, "We're gonna get them. We're gonna get them eventually."
You need to write
drop something on them.
You need to write a Java routine that will translate their language, so you'll know what they're saying about you.
Yeah, well, I would use Python. I'm pretty sure there's a package for that.
I meant to say
or something.
Sorry, I committed sacrilege there.
Yeah, Java stinks. Java is despair. Python is heaven, and Ruby is God. So that's how it works. Java is despair. I was a Java programmer for a while, and goddamn, it almost killed me.
Never got
anyway. Really? Oh, it's so cool because I've got like 40 years of consulting under my belt, and then getting into molecular biology and being able to combine coding with molecular biology. Not a bad skill.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad thing to have.
Oh no, I've had colleagues totally into coding. They just coded their own. Basically, it's R, but you basically code your own statistical process.
Yeah.
Data analysis.
Yep. I stayed away from R.
They kind of, my doctor kind of forced me into R because that was the only thing our statistical people used.
Yep. I had a friend working on her PhD. She's studying microbiome and the effects on schizophrenia and the effects on the brain, basically. And she uses R a lot, but I don't know. I try to stay away from it. Well, guys, I think we've exhausted. Oh, the other thing Cornelius Hunter goes on about is, oh God, what was it? What was his second thing? He goes on about, how Darwin said something about neighboring species or species that are close to each other will basically compete, and for some reason he thinks it disproves evolution that they found out that algae cooperates with other algae species. And in an ecosystem things cooperate. It's like, oh, surprise. And he claims that disproves evolution. That's the second half of this video. Yeah. Because algae cooperate and they don't compete, and they cooperate with something about the tree of life, and he's claiming that evolution depends on this Darwinian idea that happened in some chapter of a book that this guy named Darwin wrote a couple hundred years ago. Somehow, in his mind, this is proof. And I don't even think I'm going to get into that one. I mean, I'm not.
Some things are just so ridiculous that you don't really have to deal with them.
Well, this guy there's something about him. I'm trying to put my finger on what he is doing. The kind of misinformation he's putting out and the style with which he does it is, I think, dangerous. And there's something really stinky about him.
Sounds like he's just an obsessive malcontent who for some reason couldn't be bothered to go into the field that he spends so much time studying.
Right. I was going to say, doesn't he have a doctorate in
bioinformatics or something like that?
No, it was
Molecular-
a bioinformatics, biophysics, I think,
Yeah, biophysics.
which is, doesn't make him anywhere near, a geneticist. So,
I'm
mean,
not.
Or an evolutionary biologist. So,
yeah.
it just seems that if he was going to spend all his time trying to debunk it, he would at least be educated in it.
Yeah. Well, he is to a certain level. If you read his 12 things that refute evolution, they're all straw man predictions. And I'll get a link to the paper and post it at some point. But anyway. Okay, guys, I'm burning out.
Okay.
So,
Well, Nucleo
anyway.
Tidal Wave, it was great to have you on. It's always delightful when you pop into the panel.
Thank you.
You got to join us again, Nuke. So how did you find us? Because I tagged cancer on this video?
No, I mean, I'm subscribed to the channel, and
Okay.
I mean, obviously, it came up on my feed.
Okay.
And
Well, good.
then
I'm glad somebody subscribed.
I saw Pseudoscience, and I was like, "Yep, I'm listening."
Yeah. Well, this is Pseudoscience. He's really saying some things about cancer, I think, that lean into some real damaging pseudoscience in this video, and I didn't care for it at all. So that's why I put Pseudoscience there. Anyway, we all ready? Ready to get out? Okay.
I'm ready. Whenever you are.
I'm gonna end the stream. Goodbye, cruel world.
Bye-bye.
I'm not serious this time.